Hello and welcome back to another new video and a new session, and this time on vocabulary. Our agenda for this session would be to learn a technique known as etymology. Sounds like a complicated word, it's fairly easy. It is noticing essentially the structure of words, maybe finding out the origin of words and finding out the stories behind words. So instead of this theory, let's start with a very basic example and try and learn a couple of things about the structure of words. And one of them would be, a key idea would be in learning a lot of new words would be that understanding that a lot of big words are made up of smaller words or smaller units of words. So let's try and understand this idea with using an example, and the example is, let's say, the word autograph, right? So auto means self and graph means to write. All of us know what an autograph is, right? When famous people write their name on a piece of paper or on your diary, that is known as an autograph, or basically a signature, right? So self and graph means to write. So when somebody writes their names themselves, it is known as an autograph. What we are trying to learn is that autograph, though it might look like one word, it is made up of two smaller units of word. In this case, auto will be known as a prefix and the graph will be known as the root of the word. So can you think of a few more words with graph? Hit pause, take a few seconds and think of a few other words with graph. So here is a list for you. So I hope you did that. Words are easy enough, and very easy word would be photograph. So I just remove auto and instead of that move up photo and I get the word photograph. Now again, photograph is an easy enough word, and today we are looking at very easy words because our agenda is not learning new words but to learn this particular technique that big words are made up of smaller units. So photo means light, graph means to write. So when you write using light, you get a photograph. Now to understand this meaning, maybe you have to think before when the camera was invented. When you wanted to make a poster for yourself, you would go to an artist and he would draw it out, right? Drawing, writing is the word for graph, right? So earlier people would draw by hand, and later you're using a camera to draw the same thing. And what are you using? You're using light to draw, and that's the technology behind the camera, that light is used to print the image, right? So writing with light would be photograph. So I learned not only the word meaning, that autograph means to write by self, I also learned what auto means. So if I see new words starting with auto, which we'll see in a minute, I'm guessing the meaning for them would be fairly easy for me. Similarly, photo means light. I'm sure we remember from our school lessons in biology, we heard of this word called photosynthesis. Synthesis is to make, photo is light, photosynthesis, making something using light. So that is photosynthesis. Point being that once you grab onto this structure, one word will open up a lot many more avenues for you. Let's move this story further up and we get the word telegraph. Now these days we don't use telegraph or telegram too much, but let's say around 80-100 years back, that was a way of communication. So you would send a message in Bombay and it would go to London via the wire. It was also called the wire. So you would tap out the message because the voice the telephone wasn't invented yet. So your message would go from one city to a far away place. Tele means far, graph means to write. So telegraph is basically to write to a far away place. So in earlier days or in olden times, basically if something happened in your hometown, you would get a telegraph or telegram from there. You would not get the call or a mobile call or a video call. You will get a small short message from some other place, and that would be a telegraph or a telegram. Again, hit pause, and which we'll do later. Think of a few more words starting with tele and see what you can come up with. The next one in the list would be lithograph. Now litho means stone and graph means to write. So if you have ever seen something written on a stone, maybe carved out using a tool or something, that can be considered a lithograph. So in earlier times, and I'm talking about 200-300 years back, and in some places maybe even right now, so you would see some message is written on the stone, and inscription is written on the stone. So that kind of a thing would be known as a lithograph. So not only I learned lithograph is writing on stone, I also know what litho means. Litho means stone. So if maybe another word comes with litho in it, I will know it has something to do with stone. Cardiograph. Cardio means heart. I'm sure you've heard of this. If you have gone to a gym and your gym instructor says today is the day for cardio, he's talking about running or those kind of exercises which are good for the heart. So a cardiograph is basically writing about the heart. So when you go to a hospital or you've seen in the movies, some monitors are put on your chest and your heart being is monitored and the data is being put out on a machine, is being written down. So that is known as a cardiograph, and we know cardio means heart. Biograph or biography. Bio means life. In other words, like biosphere and biology. Biology is study of life. Bio means life. Logy means study. And now if I know logy means study, if I see other words ending with logy, I will know that they have to do with study of something. Zoology is study of animals. Graphology itself, for example, would be study of handwriting, right? So bio means life and graph means to write. So biograph would be writing down about somebody's life. So I'm sure you've heard about these books which come about people and they have their life story in them, right? So that is known as a biograph. We saw auto earlier, and if I connect the two, I get autobiography. That means a biography is somebody's life story, and an autobiography is a story written by the person himself. So let's say if a famous person writes their story themselves, it would be known as an autobiograph. So I hope by moving this structure and noticing the connections, you can see that big words are made up of small words. And if I learn the small unit, a lot more many other words open up for us, which we'll try and learn by using more and more examples.